Hey guys, in today's video we are playing Call of Duty Ghost in 2026, playing Team Deathmatch on Stonehaven. In this game I'm using the Remington. I did play one game prior to this, just so I could get some squad points and unlock it for the game. And some people in this lobby, you can tell, have been playing Ghost for a while now, and it's good to see people still playing the old games consistently because the modern games are just garbage. So it's good to see people playing what they like to play. And overall, I wanted to do a mini retrospect of this game because Call of Duty Ghost was the first Call of Duty to be subpar. And what I mean by that is when you have the lineup before Call of Duty Ghost, it goes Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2. That is a dream team of Call of Duty games that you cannot recreate. And the fact that Call of Duty Ghost released after all of those games, it was like, what the fuck? What the fuck did we just get? What was that? It was so bad that people went back to Black Ops 2. And that's not because Call of Duty Ghost was a bad game. Sure, the map design was a little flawed, the maps were a little big, the specialist system could have used some work, but it wasn't a bad game. The problem was every game prior to it was much better. It was flawlessly better. And so when people played Call of Duty Ghost, they played it for a little while and said, fuck this shit, I'm going back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I'm going back to Call of Duty Black Ops. I'm going back to Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And that's why all of the games were still populated while Call of Duty Ghost was out and even while Advanced Warfare was out, because when they moved into the jetpack era, people still went back to Black Ops 2 in 2014 and even in 2015. When Black Ops 3 came out, people started switching over because Black Ops 3 carried the name. But when it seemed like Call of Duty would stick with the jetpacks, that's when the older games started to dwindle out over time. The player bases started to fade. But Call of Duty Ghost was not responsible for that. Call of Duty Ghost was making people switch back. Another reason why people were switching at that time was because sniping was very popular. It was actually at its peak, I would say. And if you were not sniping in a public match, you were trying to pup stomp or you were a competitive player, there really was no middle ground. Everybody was trying to trick shot in a free-for-all or trying to hit clips in a team deathmatch or a domination with the sniper. And when Call of Duty Ghost made it clear that the sniping gameplay was not going to be the same as Black Ops 2, the trick shotting didn't feel the same, the sniping did not feel the same. It didn't feel as smooth. Black Ops 2 is buttery, silky smooth. And when you were using the USR or the Lynx, it's not a bad sniper. It's not the fact that the weapons were bad. It just felt different. And so people still went back to Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 3 and MW2 to go trick shot and hit these clips. And that is why Black Ops 2 also stayed populated. That was a big part of it. Everybody going back to hit trick shots in Black Ops 2 was a huge factor in keeping the game alive while Call of Duty Ghost was out. Because let's not forget, I think Call of Duty Ghost was the first game to be put on the next-gen consoles. I think it was the first one to be put on Xbox One. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was the first one to be on the upgraded consoles. And so people actually did not even buy an Xbox One. They still had their Xbox 360 on their desk. And so if you didn't make the upgrade and get rid of your 360 console, you were still playing with everybody. And the fact of the matter is, this is the first game that Infinity Ward actually botched. They are the pioneers of Call of Duty. They have released Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, some of the best games of all time, period. Not in the franchise. Some of the best games of all time. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is regarded as one of the best games of all time, and Infinity Ward made that game. Prior to the release of Black Ops 1, Infinity Ward was the standard. They made Call of Duty 4 and Call of Duty MW2 before Black Ops 1 even released. They were known as the standard in the franchise. Sure, MW3 came out and Call of Duty Black Ops 2 came out, and the competition within the franchise was great. But after Black Ops 2, Infinity Ward never recovered. They fell off a cliff and was never able to get back up. Their next release was Infinite Warfare, arguably the worst Call of Duty of all time still, and held the record for dislikes on YouTube at the time. Infinite Warfare was so bad, they actually remastered an old game so that way the player base wouldn't leave. Looking back on it now, I would take this game in a heartbeat, and I'm sure most of the player base would, because it was still a Call of Duty game at the core. You still had great DLC content. There was no strict SBMM algorithm. The gunplay was smooth. The gun selection was amazing. Also, let's not forget, this was the last Call of Duty that didn't focus on microtransactions, because Advanced Warfare came out after this, and that was the introduction of supply drops. And arguably, we've never went back, because Call of Duty's focus was never the game at that point. It was the money. When they saw how much money they could rake in from a supply drop system, they only ran with it afterwards. And then when they saw Fortnite's business model, we were cooked. That was the end. That was it. There was absolutely no return at that point, because not only did Fortnite show them the business model, but Call of Duty capitalized on it in a way that they have locked in their player base to the point where their revenue has shifted completely. They have a chart on their website. I'm not going to put it on screen because nobody wants to see data and lines and graphs. That's all boring. But essentially, you have a graph and there's two lines. One line is the money Activision gets from product sales, and on the second line is the money they get from the DLC content, store bundles, in-game purchases. And if you look in 2012, their sales peaked. 75% of their revenue came from sales and 25% came from DLC content. And now if you look in 2022, keep in mind this is only 10 years. 22% of Activision's revenue comes from product sales, and 78% of their revenue comes from in-game purchases, battle pass purchases, store bundles. It's crazy. The lines have completely shifted 180 on top of each other in the span of 10 years. Less and less people buy Activision's games every year, yet the people who still play are spending so much money that Activision is making more revenue from in-game purchases alone in 2022 than their overall product sales back in 2012. All of this ties back into my point with Call of Duty Ghost. This was the last Call of Duty that focused on the 4 DLC map packs post-launch. Nobody was focusing on supply drops. Nobody was focusing on cosmetics. Sure, yeah, compared to every game prior, not even close. But looking back on it now, we took it for granted. We took this game for granted, and I would take it in a heartbeat over anything that we have right now. I feel like most Call of Duty fans would agree with me, especially if you've been playing the older games for this amount of time. You would go back and play Call of Duty Ghost in a heartbeat. If you're presented with the option of Call of Duty Ghost or Vanguard, Ghost or BO6, Ghost or MW 2019, Ghost or Cold War, I'm going to go Ghost every time. I'm sorry, even Cold War, just because Cold War is the best Call of Duty post MW 2019 does not mean it's better. You still had strict SBMM, you still had the store bundles, the focus on the game was not there, and it was so bad that it made Vandahar go in the fucking desert and scream like the Breaking Bad meme because he couldn't control anything. He couldn't do anything. All the Activision higher-ups would just shut him down every time he wanted to fix his game. And it got to the point where if he couldn't work on his own game, he just stopped. Call of Duty Ghosts never made a developer run into the desert because the game was that bad. And so I think most of you are getting the point that I'm trying to make about the game, and I'm actually enjoying it. Looking back on it, it was not bad at all. And I was surprised when I put out the poll. Everyone basically said, yes, go ahead, play this game. We want to see it. And here it is. Ask and you shall receive. I found it very interesting that almost everybody said yes, because I feel like a lot of fans have a newfounded appreciation for this game. A lot of us are looking at this one and saying, we really did not realize how good we had it, and it was because we were spoiled before it. And not in a bad way. Not in a bad way at all. Actually, in a very good way, and you don't realize how good you had it until it's gone. And that is why I feel like most fans have the new appreciation for Call of Duty Ghosts. It really is like that in life sometimes. You really do not know how good it is or how good you have it until it's gone, and you look back on it 5, 10 years down the line. And that's pretty much what's happened with this game, with how Call of Duty turned out. And that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm going to keep uploading different Call of Duties for you guys, like I said in my Black Ops 1 video the other day. I'm going to keep that going, and was maybe thinking of doing a live stream sometime during the week. I don't know what game I want to play. Maybe Black Ops 2. We might do MW3 Remastered, but I'll figure that out. Until next time, I see you guys in the next one. Peace.